I think in the next years, Bitcoin will be the global reserve as well as potentially medium of exchange currency. People just really need to take the time to learn about what money is in order to appreciate Bitcoin, because if you don't understand, why scarcity is so important and why decentralization is so important, the fact that we don't necessarily need all these intermediaries or a central bank having a monopoly over money and we need to separate money from state, I think that's going to be critical to people adopting and really appreciating the full value of Bitcoin, especially down the road.
Joining us today is none other than Natalie Brunell, a distinguished voice in the Bitcoin community and the dynamic host of the top-rated podcast Coin Stories. With her unique blend of expertise as an influential educator, seasoned media commentator, and former award-winning TV journalist, Natalie brings a rich perspective on why Bitcoin is not just a currency, but a pivotal force in shaping the future of global economics and technology trends. Today, Natalie will unravel the basics of Bitcoin's importance and share her bold prediction: Bitcoin's ascent to the global reserve currency. Get ready for an engaging journey through the world of Bitcoin as Natalie illuminates the path towards understanding the digital revolution that's redefining the relentless pursuit of freedom. Stay tuned. We've got 2 more of these videos, so be sure to hit subscribe and ring that bell notification for more. So Natalie, can you describe America in the post-war era?
America has been changing drastically over the last few decades, exacerbated by our response to the great financial crisis and how much money we printed through the program of QE. My parents dreamt about coming here, and they talk about being young. They were born in the 50s, and so, they were teenagers in like the late 60s and growing up in their 70s there. And they talked about how everything that anyone would want that was cherished and valued and really good quality was made in America. They consumed American films, they consumed American music, and there was this massive, boom, because after the war, we were established as the global reserve currency, we were producing more, we were a manufacturing powerhouse that helped build up the middle class. We were on the gold standard for some of that. And so it was this, America created this kind of beacon of hope and prosperity for the world to look at. And it was an example. It was setting an example for the world to follow. And that was inspiring in many ways, especially for people in other countries like my parents. So all they wanted to do was to be able to come here, because the idea of the American dream espoused the fact that it didn't matter where you came from. It didn't matter if you came from poverty. If you worked hard and you got an education and you were a good person, you could do anything. You can make any dream come true. And I think that is so inspiring and motivating for a lot of people. It's why a lot of people still want to come here so badly. And then something changed, right? After going off the gold standard, if anyone wants to go to www.wtfhappenedin1971.com, there are some fantastic charts of just how the cost of living, it was like a hockey stick. Everything from your Campbell's soup to the cost of homes, everything went off the charts, but wages remained stagnant. People were actually, making less and less in many ways, because the purchasing power was starting to decrease so quickly. And that was around the time too, about the 80s and 90s, we over-financialized everything. We cranked up the steroids on just derivatives and lending and leverage and a stock market, and everyone was starting to become a speculator, and all of a sudden you needed, a portfolio manager. Oh wait, we created indices and passive investing, and it's like no one even understands what the value of money is. And so I really think that this is like an inflection point where Bitcoin came right at the time when it was most needed, because we are at a point where not just in the US but around the world, everything has become global in terms of our digital connectivity to one another, but our economic system is so broken. It is based on debt and credit and paper promises that have to be, tapered over in layers, and it's unsustainable, and it's leading to the impoverishment of a huge portion of the population, which leads them to populism and movements to say, no, I'm going to stand up and I want to change. And so I think that this is like a really an important moment in time because we have this option, we have this alternative, this network that we can start to peacefully opt into. It's a bridge that can carry us into the new system and the new economic order that's more fair for everyone without needing to have some sort of massive seismic, deflationary bust where one system collapses and we have to rebuild from scratch. This is something that transitions us in the most peaceful and orderly way that I think could be.
Today's video is sponsored by Stampseed. Don't store your Bitcoin in cold storage without stamping your seed phrase on an indestructible titanium plate. Stampseed is fireproof, rust-proof, impact-proof, and easy to hide. It has no loose parts and will give you ultimate peace of mind that your Bitcoin is safe and sound for the long term. Click the link in the description below for 15% off your stamping kit. Welcome to Bit Intelligence. We are committed to bringing you top-notch Bitcoin-only content, twice weekly. Doing this is quite a lot of work. If you are enjoying it and you'd like to support us in making more of these videos, subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon. If you are willing to go a step further, consider contributing to our Lightning wallet on Geyser to help us get the funding we need to keep bringing you these videos. You can also join our channel here on YouTube for as low as $2.99 per month. Okay, back to the video.
I think most of us don't question inflation. We have this understanding that things just get more expensive and the previous generations were able to afford a little bit more, and it almost sounds quaint talking about the idea of grandparents paying only a nickel to go to the movies. But actually we should really hone in on why are things getting more expensive? What mechanisms exist within our system that are allowing for prices to increase at a pace that outpaces people's earning ability? So right now, I think one of the biggest things that people are frustrated about is the fact that we have a very small group of people at the top who make a lot of money and have a lot of power, and everyone else, it seems like they're treading water to just keep up with the pace of everything getting more expensive. Education costs, healthcare costs, the cost to be able to purchase a home. I mean, it's really sad to see what that has done to younger generations who now look to the future and they don't feel that they will be able to achieve financial security. They're worse off in some ways than the previous generations, and I think that that's never been the case before. So I think we have to examine, do we actually need inflation at the base layer of our economic system? Why? Why did someone decide this arbitrary 2% is somehow beneficial to society when in actuality that's just 2% theft every single year? And maybe 2% you don't really notice on the margins, but over time it adds up, it compounds. So I think we really need to examine that and how far we've gone into this world based on credit and expanded the monetary supply far greater than our productive capabilities. And so the productive gains have not been able to flow to people and workers. So I think that we need to challenge some of that, and Bitcoin forces us to do that. I think a lot of people in the United States, they don't realize that we have such a privilege being the global reserve currency and what we've been able to essentially export in terms of inflation and costs to other countries. There's also a technical generational gap. Some people just don't feel comfortable with the idea of digital money. My parents still don't completely. They love hard money. They grew up under communism, so they love the idea of hard money like gold. But that extra barrier of this being digital, they still don't fully understand, well, why can't the network somehow be hacked or compromised? People don't always know that you can buy just a fraction of Bitcoin, and they see, okay, well, there's 21 million, but one Bitcoin costs over $40,000 and I can't afford it, so I'm just gonna ignore this entirely. So I think we need to do a better job of making sure that people realize that it is divisible and you could buy just, a couple dollars worth of Bitcoin, and that hopefully Satoshis will be the unit of account and standard going forward.
So Natalie, help me envision what the next 25 to 50 years could look like and how life would be different living on a Bitcoin standard.
Well, I don't know if 25 years will be enough. I think there are some challenges ahead because the people who wield the most amount of power, they want to hold on to it. And Bitcoin throws a wrench in their plans because with Bitcoin, again, you have to compete on a level playing field with everyone else. From the richest to the poorest, you get kind of placed in the same plane and realm within Bitcoin and having to provide value. I envision a world a few decades from now where we have true free market economics, where we have people being judged by the value that they create, by their merit, as opposed to who they know, which political actors they're closest with, which massive corporation they're working for, and who's closest to the money printer. I envision a world where if you create a product and it fails, it's allowed to fail. It's not bailed out by the taxpayer. And if you create something amazing, it's allowed to flourish and grow in a way that, again, represents true capitalism. I envision a world where more people are able to start businesses, where we have truly more flourishing small business owners as opposed to this mass corporatization of every single industry, mass food, mass healthcare, mass education, mass whatever. And people are actually able to provide more value, know one another on a more local level, and again, kind of return to that sense of sovereignty and also being able to start families and plan for them a little bit more. I think so many people today make choices based on whether they can afford something or not, and how challenging the financial aspect will be. A lot of people, you need two incomes today in order to be able to afford a house. What if you only needed one? What if you only needed half of one, right? I mean, I do, especially with technology driving us forward and helping us do more and more of our daily activities, especially through AI, I imagine a world where more of us are able to create amazing things, beautiful new things, take chances, and also enjoy life a little bit more. I'm from Europe. We really want to take a rest sometimes, we don't just live to work. We work to live, and we want to live a little bit more. I think we really need that ethos to come back a little bit. Bitcoin has so many amazing qualities in terms of monetary properties. It's not just number go up and hopefully making all of us a little bit wealthier and more financially secure, but this is the first form of digital money that no one can confiscate from you, no one can seize. It's borderless. You can literally send $1 billion worth of value from one part of the world to another, and it'll settle in about 10 minutes, and maybe you'll pay a couple of pennies in some cases as far as fees. So I just think that that's just so incredible that we've created a system where you don't need to trust anyone, and it can send so much value so quickly. I think that people just really need to take the time to learn about what money is in order to appreciate Bitcoin, because if you don't understand, why scarcity is so important and why decentralization is so important, the fact that we don't necessarily need all these intermediaries or a central bank having a monopoly over money, and we need to separate money from state, I think that's going to be critical to people adopting and really appreciating the full value of Bitcoin, especially down the road. But I do see a future where, of course, we've got challenges ahead, but I think in the next 100 years, Bitcoin will be the global reserve as well as potentially medium of exchange currency.
100 years may sound like a long time, but it's a blip in the scale of human existence. It's important to understand that major monetary transitions like this take time, and that's a good thing. For those inspired by today's discussion and seeking to delve deeper into the intersection of Bitcoin, global economics, and the pursuit of the new American dream, or should I say, global dream, Natalie's work on Coin Stories is an indispensable resource. We'll see you next time.